Hey guys, welcome back to That Florida Feeling. How are you guys? Did everybody have a good week? I hope so. Thank you guys for all your love on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as always. I realized that I failed and did not put a question up this week. I'm sorry. I really did not know what day it was until literally realized it was Friday today. Hopefully you guys' week has been better than that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow, or whatever you do to make sure you don't miss out on any episodes. How did you guys like St. Augustine Part 1? You thought it was pretty good, maybe? I hope you did anyways. And maybe you learned something new. So, honesty, I really didn't plan on doing a two-parter on St. Augustine, but it's so amazing, and it's packed with so many different things that I kind of felt like it needed to be a two-parter. Okay, actually it's going to be a three-parter. It's going to be the dark side of St. Augustine, but that's my Halloween special for you guys. We're going to do Haunted St. Augustine for Halloween, because that just makes sense. Now, we all know that there's going to be an episode story in this episode, wow, I'm tired, you guys, can you tell? Let me try that again. We all know that there will be a ghost story in this episode anyways, because it's St. Augustine. You can't talk about it without at least having one ghost story. So we talked about the history of St. Augustine. Now let's talk about more things that make the city so amazing. Mainly why people still go to it today. Have you ever heard of the Ponce de Leon Hotel in St. Augustine? You probably have, but you just didn't realize it, because it's not really a hotel anymore. Kind of. It's actually a college. Flagler College calls this old hotel home. And the hotel was actually built by Henry Flagler, so the name makes perfect sense. And it was the first of its kind constructed using entirely the method of poured concrete and local coquina stones as aggregate. And it's a beautiful, amazing building. And the hotel was also the first one to be built in the country, so it's the whole country, wired for electricity from the beginning. And he actually had power supplied for the DC generators by Thomas Edison himself. Flagler wanted this to be his just beautiful home away from home hotel. He wanted a place for people to stay. He wanted a place for people to enjoy themselves. And he constructed this hotel after visiting the city and realizing that it really didn't have that many amenities. He actually got the poured concrete idea while visiting his friend's winter home, which is also in St. Augustine. And that's actually the Villa Zurata. And that was about, the 1800s. He was going back and forth, and that's kind of when he realized that he wanted to build St. Augustine up. He wanted to make it a city that he wanted to go to, and he wanted his friends to go to as well. And he actually came back and offered Smith, who owned Villa Zora, one of his friends, and he tried to buy the home, but the guy was like, no, this is my home. I'm not going to sell it to you. I mean, I would have been like, okay, how much? But, priorities. But anyways, he told him he would back and invest money in a joint venture to build his hotel if Smith could come up with the original $5,000. Well, Smith wasn't able to get the funds, but Flagler was going to build this hotel no matter what. So he began to build the 540-room hotel by himself and called it the Ponce de Leon Hotel. Now, Smith did help. He helped train the masons to use the poured concrete techniques that he had used to build Zurata. But don't feel bad for Smith, because he actually ended up building his own hotel, the Casa Monica Hotel, which is still there today. Now, the hotel that Flagler built was actually an old orange grove and salt marsh that he had bought from Dr. Anderson, and that was the Markland mansion. I want to call it plantation, because if you ever look at it, it looks like an old plantation home, but so Markland, and that was built again by Dr. Anderson. He purchased that around 1885, and he built the hotel, and the hotel was actually finished around 1887, which, as large as this hotel is, 2 years is very, very impressive. And the hotel lacked nothing. I mean, he wanted this to be perfect, and it is famed for its beautiful rooms, its architecture, but most notably, he used the input from Louis Comfort Tiffany of Tiffany & Company on the interior of the hotel. And the windows in the large dining room were actually provided by Tiffany himself. And you can actually go still see these windows today. You can tour Flagler College and you can get a view of just how beautiful, and I mean, these windows are ornate and just amazing to look at. Of course, the windows weren't the only thing. They had murals in the rotunda and in the dining room, and those were completed by George W. Maynard, who also painted the murals in the Library of Congress. Flagler continued on, sparing no expense in this hotel, and used marble and oak in the rotunda, as well as many of the hotel rooms. The hotel also had electricity, and Flagler had to actually hire staff to turn on the electricity for people, since most people weren't sure how it worked, and they were actually afraid of the switches. I found that to be fascinating, that someone had a job just to turn on light switches. But the hotel officially opened in January of 1888, and it was an absolute instant success. But of course, the hotel didn't stay a hotel. It did go through some changes. It became an art colony, a Coast Guard training center during World War II, and then it became a hotel again after World War II, but it didn't have the same success it had seen in the first openings, and so it finally ultimately closed in 1967. Flagler College, though, didn't let the hotel fall into ruin, as it was founded in 1968, and it used this hotel as the centerpiece for its new college. And the college also realized the importance of these buildings, and they began to restore the hotel and other Flagler-era buildings on the campus to their original state, and this started in 1976. The college actually celebrated the centennial of the hotel in 1988, and the Flagler Legacy Program was actually founded in honor of Henry Flagler, the man that built the hotel that they call home to their college. And like I said, you can still take tours of this college. They actually just started back. They were paused during COVID. You can see the beautiful rotundas, the dining rooms. You can get a historical idea of the importance of it and what Flagler really put into it. You can see pictures, but just seeing it in person, it is just such a beautiful building. The detail is amazing. You can tell he really cared for this place. The hotel is on the National Register of Historic Places of 1975, and it's a National Historic Landmark as of 2006. And I'm sure you're thinking, well, where is this place? And it's right off King Street. The Flagler College sign sits right off King Street, and you can see it. There's a huge statue and a gate going into a courtyard, and that's the hotel. That was the original hotel. If you walk around the block a little bit, you can see all the old buildings that went to it. You can even see the old power stacks that were part of the hotel that helped to generate the power to it. It's just a really, really pretty place. And of course, Flagler College is an amazing college as well. It's really kind of adopted St. Augustine as its own home. And it's just one of those places wherever you go in the city, you're going to see or hear about Flagler. So, still going to talk about Henry Flagler, because of course, we really do have him to thank for a lot of St. Augustine. And the second place I want to talk about is the Hotel Alcazar. And that was another hotel built by Mr. Flagler in 1887, because he didn't think that one hotel was enough. And the building is a Spanish Renaissance revival style, and it's another beautiful building in the downtown area. It's actually basically across the street from the Ponce de Leon Hotel. They pretty much face each other. The courtyard looks out to the hotels. And it was really built, again, to appeal to wealthy tourists who were coming to South Florida for their winter months. The hotel was built by the same firm that built the rest of the buildings for Flagler in the entire city of St. Augustine. That was Carrera and Hastings. And of course, this hotel was also known for its opulence, because Henry Flagler couldn't do anything that didn't... First of all, he was never unsuccessful, and he never did anything without style. The hotel contained a steam room, a massage parlor, sulfur baths, a gymnasium, a 3-story ballroom, and at that time, the world's largest indoor swimming pool. So basically, the hotel contained everything people wanted to be comfortable in the city. But this hotel, unfortunately, did not last as long as they hoped, because it actually closed in 1932. But that's not the end of its story either. Everything in St. Augustine just continues to live on. And this building was given a new life after being purchased in 1947 by Otto C. Leitner. And he wanted to convert the old hotel into a museum for his hobbies, which is exactly what it is today. You've probably heard of the Leitner Museum in St. Augustine, and it's actually got some really, really cool exhibits. Mr. Leitner used the museum to exhibit his hobbies and his collections that include extensive collections of Victorian art. And he turned the museum over to the city of St. Augustine in 1948 after he got it full to be open to the public so that he and other people could enjoy his collections. Now, the building is really its own attraction. It's got a beautiful center courtyard and a stone arch over a fish pond. Out front, there's fountains, and it's just a really pretty building, and it kind of also gives its own to St. Augustine. Now, of course, the museum is open today, and you can enjoy and visit. It's actually fun for a rainy day in Florida. The museum actually only occupies, though, 3 floors of the former hotel, and it's in the old health facilities of the hotel, which is where the spa, the Turkish baths, and the 3-story ballroom would have been. Some of the exhibits in the museum, which were his collectibles, include wow, I don't know what I typed there. Okay, I'll try that again. Includes an Egyptian mummy, glass blowing, Native American artifacts, and a real shrunken head. The museum also has musical pieces from the 1870s to the 1920s. And then the really cool thing is that the gift shop that's there today used to be a Victorian village that had shop fronts. So it actually looked like you were walking through a village with writing on the windows and just the shop fronts. And it was really cool, especially for that time. Now, the museum also features a piece from Louis Tiffany's work, as well as the paintings and sculptures from this famous artist. The 3rd floor actually looks down on what used to be the swimming pool, but is also Cafe Alcazar now. The museum is just a really fun place to visit. It's a really cool chance to get to see stuff in a smaller scale museum without having to go to like much bigger cities like in DC or New York. And it just gives you a unique look at what one man really enjoyed for his collections. He does have some really, really interesting items in this, and it's a really cool way to preserve the hotel and the history of the hotel for St. Augustine. Now, I said that the swimming pool is now a cafe, and you're probably thinking, what? But I did say that. So the swimming pool has obviously been drained, and you can now sit and dine on the floor of what used to be the swimming pool, and it is a super unique dining experience, and it's a really, really cool. I mean, the building, or the swimming pool area that it sits in of the building is just beautiful on its own. The archways, the stairs, it's a really unforgettable view as you eat lunch in this area. It's ornate. You can feel the opulence for the time. You almost kind of can't believe it was a swimming pool at one time. Now, of course, this restaurant is popular, and it does take reservations. Because of the uniqueness, it fills up really fast, especially for the summer months. Not going to lie to you guys, the food is a little pricey. It's a lunch menu. It's only open a couple hours, but the experience is worth it just to go and to sit and say you ate lunch in a swimming pool. It's a really, really cool way to see the old opulence and just to kind of feel like you were transported back in time. So definitely check that one out. The Lightning Museum as well. Both of those are pretty cool places to go in St. Augustine. Like I said, especially for rainy days. Because the museum, you can take your time walking through it. You're not rushed. And you can really kind of enjoy something. You'll probably find something that you are really interested in this museum because it's such a varied collection. So if you haven't gone there yet, you should definitely check it out. So the next place I want to talk about is actually one of my absolute favorite things in St. Augustine. It's a bridge, and I'm talking about the Bridge of Lions. Now, the bridge is over the Intercoastal Waterway, and it also has the unique feature of being a drawbridge. The bridge connects St. Augustine to Anastasia Island, and the cool thing about it is that it's guarded by a pair of marble Medici lions. It's, of course, the copies of them, but there's a set on each side. Now, the bridge was originally started in 1925, and it finished in 1927. And it's gone through some changes, but it was finally fully restored back in 2011, and that brought the completed bridge, the one you see today, and the lions, which had been getting repaired, back to where they stood. And you can actually walk across the bridge to get to Anastasia Island from the downtown, and as you walk across, you're going to see a great view of the Castillo de San Marco, and the rest of the skyline of the city, and the marina down below. It is a little interesting to walk across this bridge. I was not expecting it. Since it is a drawbridge in the middle, there is only grates to walk over. Obviously, it's not super sturdy feeling, so I ran. Because it bounces. The cars are going past, and you're just like, I'm going to fall. But it was really cool to get to see it, to get to see the pictures, to look at the different sides of the city and to see both sets of lions. So if you just want to walk around St. Augustine, take a jaunt across the bridge. Maybe you'll find it less terrifying than I did. The bridge is actually on the National Register of Historic Places, and the lions were a gift from Dr. Andrew Anderson, again, the man that built Markland Mansion. This man really loved St. Augustine, and of course, the lions have names. The lions that stand on the side of the bridge that go from downtown St. Augustine to Anastasia Island are called Faithful and Firm. They're the original pair of lions. The other side of the bridge didn't actually have lions, but the pair of lions on the first side did get company when a second pair were added, and they were actually added in 2015, and their names are Peace and Happiness. And they stand guard over the city, and it's really a testament of one man's love to the city, since he went out of his way to commission these lions and specifically wanted them put in the city. They're just really beautiful to walk up to and to look at, and they are so detailed. They're super popular for pictures, but they really do give you just a great feel of just how powerful this city still is and all it's overcome. So if you're ever in St. Augustine and you're walking from the Castillo across the seawall, you'll definitely run into the lions. And it really does give you just a really pretty view, and just to marvel at the handiwork of someone, and to think that someone loved the city enough to donate those. So of course, and if you've seen them, they do have names. So it's just a fun tourist thing. It's not really an attraction. It's just something that St. Augustine's known for, and it's something that I just wanted to point out because I used to like walking past them in the mornings. You can take pictures around them, and it's something different. I mean, how many cities really have 4 lion statues in them? All right, so aside from weird statues, St. Augustine is also known for obviously being historical, which we've already talked about. And it's home to a really cool museum. It's the Pirate and Treasure Museum. Now, the museum kind of gives you an exciting look at the history of piracy and gets a glimpse into life 300 years ago as pirates roamed the seas. And the museum takes you back to a place in time in Port Royal, Jamaica. And you get to learn about famous pirates like Sir Francis Drake and Robert Searles. Both of these men actually attacked St. Augustine. They also talk about how pirates played a role in the history of the U.S. and in Florida. And really, the museum is another fun thing to do, especially on rainy days, or if you have kids that are just really into pirates, or if you're really into pirates. It's a fun thing to walk through for a little bit. You get to feel like you're really back in time in the Port Royal part. And so it's just something fun and different, not what you would expect to find in St. Augustine, or at least I didn't. It's also off of Avenida Menendez. It's actually basically right across from the Castillo. So make a day of it. Hit up all the museums, the lions, the fort. You'll have fun. You'll feel historical. You'll feel like you learned something. But that's part of what St. Augustine is. Now, of course, if history is not your thing, and it's not for some people, another fun place in St. Augustine is not so much a place as it really is a street. And this street kind of runs the gamut through the downtown part of the ancient city, and that's St. George's Street. And it's actually probably, I would say, the most popular, if not one of the top most popular streets in the city. Everybody knows St. George Street, because St. George Street is really where you find everything. Restaurants, museums, shops, other just fun places to visit in the city. I love walking down St. George Street, especially in the morning, because you can really feel how quiet St. Augustine can be in the mornings if you walk St. George Street. There's no tourists roaming around taking pictures. There's nobody waiting on tables for restaurants. There's nobody sitting there on the benches looking like they're about to pass out from heat exhaustion. It's a really quiet moment to enjoy these really beautiful old historic buildings, and just see, and you can see straight down the street in the mornings, because there's just nobody except for maybe workers. But it's really cool to get a glimpse, and this was around, when the Spanish were there, so you can just kind of almost imagine something in their era walking through this street. Of course, you can find coffee shops and smaller restaurants for your early meals, or you can come back and roam the street during the day and enjoy a slice of pizza time. By the way, if you've not checked out Pizza Time and you're in St. Augustine, I am sort of disappointed in you. Pizza Time is the best. Okay. One of the top three. Yeah, probably the best to me. Pizza place in St. Augustine. You can buy it by the slice. They have so many different flavors. They have huge garlic knots. You can see the pizza in the window. But be warned, there's usually a line and they only take cash. But you've definitely got to check this place out. It's great, so you can just get a slice and walk around the city without feeling really full, but you know that you had a good meal. You can also stop in at St. George's Tavern. They have an awesome lunch menu, or you can even have a drink. It is a tavern. You can enjoy the music from the Milltop Tavern, or even when they're doing shows at Prohibition Kitchen some nights. If dinner's more your thing, there's always the Columbia or Pizzali's, or Burrito Works. The Burrito Works is the home of the UFO, which is a massive, massive amount of food. It's like Mexican food. Think Chipotle or Moe's, but, you know, smaller and better. And that's Burrito Works. And, of course, they're open later. It's just a really great place. And they have really cool names for all their foods. So, definitely something to check out. But you can really find anything on St. George's Street. There's a really cool little sports memorabilia shop. Of course, souvenirs, T-shirts, anything that says St. Augustine. Flagler has their little shop down. If you want to just go get a Flagler College shirt, you can find it down on St. George Street. There are a couple of museums you can visit, a couple old houses you can walk through. Of course, there's people standing there trying to give you free samples of things. That's up to you how you handle that. I just usually walk away. It's not my thing. But really, St. George's Street has something for everyone. There's a really cool draft house, Augie's Draft House. It's the one where you get the card and then you go pour however much beer you want in the cup, and and their food's really good too. Yeah, St. George's Street's probably really got something for everybody, and it's a really cool place. You should definitely check it out. I'm sure you'll find something to buy. There's cigar shops, Panama hat place. You'll find something. Oh, the Medieval Torture Museum. That's a pretty interesting one. And you'll know when you've gotten there. There's a really creepy executioner looking down on the street. You'll definitely know you're there. But St. George's Street is just so much to talk about and so much to do and see. You feel like you need to walk up and down it at least 3 or 4 times. But it's something you should definitely check out when you're in St. Augustine. And most people unintentionally check it out because they don't realize that they've walked on it or through it. So, and of course, sorry guys, it's Florida. There's thunderstorms, really loud thunder. I don't know if you guys heard that. But of course, if you're in St. Augustine, you're probably going to stay for more than one day. So you can stay in from anything from a bed and breakfast to some chain hotels. I mean, there's really something for everybody's budget. Yeah, most of them are also haunted. Yep. Now, my favorite place to stay in St. Augustine is probably the Casablanca Inn on the bay. And the hotel is a really old house. And I actually talked about this house in my Haunted Florida episode. It's the one where the old lady's seen carrying her lantern with the Prohibition and the rum runners. But that was her house. So you know it's haunted. We've talked about it. And you can stay in these amazingly beautiful rooms. We stayed there before we moved to St. Augustine, and it was beautiful. The hotel is actually made up of 3 parts that include the main hotel, the carriage house, and the secret garden. Parking is included, which is super important because it's St. Augustine, and it's not that big. So make sure parking's included wherever you stay. The hotel does actually have a restaurant and a bar on site. And the really cool thing I love about this place, other than just the fact that it's absolutely beautiful and slightly haunted, is that they have so many free, awesome amenities. First of all, they're right off Avenida Menendez. So, you walk down the steps, and that's this. You get to see the Intercoastal. You look to the left, there's the fort. You look to the right, there's the bridge. And it's just in a great place. But that's not it. That's not the only reason I like it. Staying at the Casablanca Inn includes 2 free drinks at the Teeny Martini Bar and free breakfast per day. So, if you're looking for a place to enjoy a drink while watching people stroll by, this is the place for you. If you aren't sure about breakfast and you just want to be able to relax wherever you're at, this is the place for you. And the hotel's full of a lot of other little extras that make it worth booking. They had nightly snacks, or they did before COVID, that you could enjoy as you're coming in and out of the hotel. And, like I said, it's also on the bayfront, so you just step out and boom, you're in downtown. Or you go out the back way and boom, you're still in the downtown area. So it's just a really cool little place. I think it's oftentimes overlooked because most people don't realize it's a hotel because Nero's is out front, and then the Teeny Martini Bar, which is inside, which, by the way, it is a martini bar. They can make you anything, but the martinis are amazing. You should definitely, if you like martinis, you definitely should try at this bar. This is the place for you. Another place to stay in St. Augustine is called the St. Francis Inn. It's beautiful, and it is absolutely notoriously haunted. The inn has beautiful gardens. It has a swimming pool, which is one of the few in St. Augustine because there's usually not room. And it even has wonderful breakfast served daily. Now, the inn dates back to 1791, and they have strived to keep that old world charm in the inn while, of course, updating to modern amenities. They have fun little things like social hours in the afternoons that allow people to enjoy local wines and beers while talking to other people exploring the ancient city. They have a specialty coffee bar in the morning. They have the ability to hook you up if you want to go to the beach or little things like that. And it really is located in a great spot for exploring. They, like I said, they even have the extras that allow you to explore other parts of the city that a lot of other hotels just don't have or haven't looked into. Now, of course, they are haunted, and they have embraced this. They have embraced St. Augustine's past, and they understand that they share the inn with those who just haven't passed on yet or don't want to leave. They actually put these stories on their website. Of course, the inn isn't the only haunted inn in the city, but it's definitely one of the most haunted. The inn is known for its ghost named Lily, who was a slave that unfortunately fell in love with the wrong person. She fell in love with the nephew of a military man who was staying in the city, and the uncle discovered them. And so the nephew and Lily were doing their thing. They were caught, and Lily was sent away. Now, of course, I'm sure that Lily was just upset, but the nephew was also very upset. He was actually so upset that there's debating between he either hung himself or he threw himself out of a window on the 3rd story. He just didn't want to go on without her. And this room is now said to be Lily's room, and people tend to experience things in this room. Now, the St. Francis Inn is super haunted. That is not up for debate. But remember that every haunting from a ghost story are self-inflicted because alcohol can sneak up on you at times. There's actually a well-known story from St. Francis that this guy said that he woke up underneath his bed. Now, I'm not denying he didn't wake up underneath his bed. That's actually proven because they had to call the fire department to come get him out from underneath the bed because he was apparently a very, very large man. Now, what they don't say is that he drank probably 4 full-size bottles of brandy and sherry, and somehow apparently wedged himself up underneath this bed and wasn't found until the maid heard him screaming. So, just remember, if something weird happens, make sure you didn't do it to yourself. Also, make sure that if you get those goosebumps in the middle of the night, it's not the air conditioning blowing on you. I'm just saying. Now, I mean, you're going to find plenty of different places to stay and eat in the city. And, of course, a bar. And St. Augustine is no different. I mean, the city is full of historic places. And some of these places become fun bars that you get to visit. Now, my favorite bar in St. Augustine is one that you can easily miss if you aren't looking for it. And it's called the No Name Bar, or the Bar with No Name. It's called either. Now, I know if you live around St. Augustine, you probably think I'm absolutely crazy for saying that I like No Name Bar. But the view is amazing. You literally can see Avenida Menendez. You're actually sitting basically on Avenida Menendez, and the Castillo de San Marco is literally across the street. It's almost right across from the little parking area for it. So you can see the fort. You can see the people walking up and down the street. You can see the cars going by. You can see over to the Intercoastal. And it's just really, really cool to people watch while you sip on a drink on their outdoor porch. Now, of course, the bar does sit a few feet above street level, so you can soak in the Florida sun or sit under some shade while sipping on decently priced, not gonna lie, kind of strong drinks. Now, saying that I love No Name Bar comes with a slight caveat. So let's be honest. No Name Bar is absolutely great during the day. Not so much at night. There are better bars to visit at night. But if you're out walking and you just feel like you need a drink, or you just need somewhere to sit for a moment and get like a beer or something, definitely hit up No Name, just for the views and the people watching alone. You will not be disappointed. Another place I love is Scarlett O'Hara's. Now this bar sits at the corner of Hippolyta and Cordova in the what I call the back of the city, but it's actually right across from the side of Flagler College. And they do serve great food. Wings are amazing. But I like here for 2 reasons. Because first of all, everybody's super nice. Okay, 3 reasons. Everybody's super nice. I've never had a bad drink. And of course, it's haunted. It's so haunted, in fact, that their upstairs is named the Ghost Bar. So the bar was a home that was built by a wealthy businessman who actually worked with Mr. Flagler. His name was Mr. Cooley. And he built this home for him and his future bride. And Mr. Cooley proposed, and she left with a soldier. So, of course, Mr. Cooley was upset. He was left with a beautiful house and a broken heart. Now, that being said, the restaurant and the bars are 2 stories, and the upstairs is the Ghost Bar, and it's for good reasons. It is so haunted that Scarlett's is actually listed on the National Directory of Haunted Places, and it is haunted by Mr. Cooley himself, and he is very protective of his old home. I have had experiences in this bar, y'all. Let me tell you. I have the bathroom door, the women's bathroom door, would not let me out one time. That was fun. I have seen drinks fly off the table, and I don't mean you set it down and it hydroplanes. I mean just like a cat walked up and it's gone. I have seen glasses fly off the racks above the bar on the outdoor bar, which, by the way, the outdoor part is actually really cool and fun. You can watch the city go by, you can watch the tourists, the trolleys, locals, and they just navigating up and down this part of the city. It's another really cool place. But trust me, it's haunted. Oh, and back to Mr. Cooley. If you ever go upstairs and you're at the bar, you're probably going to see some college kids, because it's across from Flagler. And you know how when people get some alcohol, they start to feel themselves, and they get a little more confidence, whether they need it or not. And guys like to hit on girls. Girls like to hit on guys. But when a guy doesn't just leave the girl alone after she says no, you can often see them, of course, you'll see them walk around. Of course, they're upset. And usually, you've been drinking, gotta pee. You'll see them come out of the men's bathroom rubbing their forehead. And there's tons of stories about this, where a guy will be peeing and someone will come up behind him. And this is a small bathroom. Very small. You're going to know if somebody else is in there with you. Women's is the same. You're going to know it. And the guy will feel someone smack the back of their head so much so that they hit it on the pipe or the wall in front of them. So, Mr. Cooley is protective of not only his home, but of women, which I think is awesome. And poor Mr. Cooley, I'll tell you really quick, did not obviously have a happy ending. He died in his bathtub. So if you ever go to Scarlett's and you see a bathtub, no, they're not crazy. It's just for Mr. Cooley, who still haunts and wonders his old home, to feel a little bit more like he's still there. But definitely go check out Scarlett's, if not for the name, just for where it's at and the food and the drinks. It's a really cool place. Now, I've talked about where to stay, where to eat, where to drink, what to do. But one of my favorite parts of St. Augustine is actually the people. Because St. Augustine is full of some truly interesting and amazing characters, and they really do help make up this city. The city is full of performers, musicians, and nice people who have just survived a whole lot while continuing to appreciate this beautiful city. You walk down the streets at night and you'll hear many different sounds as you pass by bars. You'll hear live music, you'll hear street performers, or you'll hear ghost tours telling people just how crowded the city really is, and not just the ones you see walking around. St. Augustine absolutely loves its history, and it has worked so hard to preserve it. So if you do visit, try to do the same. Enjoy the city. Take a ghost tour. If you do take a ghost tour, I absolutely recommend Ghost Augustine. It's located in Beer Hammers off St. George's Street. Ask for Q. You will not be disappointed. It's actually, the one I love is the haunted pub tour. So you go to like 3 or 4, depending on how many's in the group, stops, and you get to get drinks, and you get to hear the ghost stories, and you get to hear part of this history of the city, and you get to walk around to parts or places that you never thought you would think to visit in that city. My favorite from the tour is Stogie's. Stogie's is a great place. They serve beer, mainly just craft beer and wine, no hard liquor. But they're a cigar bar, and you can get, if you buy a draft beer, I think it's $2 for a cigar. And you can sit out on their little patio, and they have a fire pit when it actually gets cold in Florida, and couches. And you can sit out there and you can watch people walk by, or if they have their music going that night, you can hear the performer from inside while you sit outside and enjoy the Florida evenings. So Stogie's is another place I definitely recommend. But Ghost Augustine will take you to all these amazing places. If you want to hear some truly good ghost stories, remember, ask for Q. You won't be disappointed. But also remember that while this city is full of amazing things, just don't indulge too much. People do still have to live there. People do still work there. So while you are enjoying the city, just keep that in mind. And the one thing that I beg of you to do while you're there is to not turn into Florida Man. There are so many Florida Man. Let's just not add to it. And today's Florida Man comes from Crystal River. It was actually a story from, I think, a week or 2 ago. And a Florida man got out of his SUV during a traffic stop and began to twerk for the cops. Now, they didn't really appreciate his dancing skills, so he started to pull out knives and, well, he got tased. Yeah, can't do that. So if there's ever an appropriate time to show off your dance moves or twerking, and especially if you have good ones, just don't do it during a traffic stop, y'all. It's not worth it. It's not the time. It's not the place. So, did I convince you guys to go to St. Augustine? Maybe explore a new place in it? Find a new place to eat or drink or stay? Maybe a church to go look at? Somewhere to take a new photograph? Take in some history? Something fun like that? Well, I know that I have places that I just can't wait to visit again, so I'm hoping you at least found one to go back to or a new one. And if you're thinking that I missed a few places, yeah, you're probably right. St. Augustine is known for its lighthouse, and it will be in the lighthouse episode coming up. The Alligator Farm is another fun place to visit in St. Augustine, and I talked about it in my roadside attractions. Of course, another well-known place is Anastasia Island State Park, and you know what that means, guys. It's going to appear in a future State Parks episode, because 2 paragraphs just won't do it justice. I didn't forget much. I mean, if I forgot something, just email me. I can add it to another episode. But these are the places that I do want to give a little more attention to later in later episodes, more than I can talk about right now. I am going to do a Haunted St. Augustine. I know I'm not the only one who has experienced St. Augustine in its fullest. So send me those ghost stories, guys. Let me add them to my episode in October. And feel free to reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Send me suggestions, comments, what you like, what you don't like. I'm good for it. You can also email me at thatfloridafeel@gmail.com and let me know, just anything. If you just want to say hi, I promise I'll respond with hi. As always, guys, if you have a second, the Apple 5-star reviews with comments would be fantastically appreciated. I hope you guys are still enjoying this podcast as much as I am enjoying doing it. I promise that my next episode will be a little bit longer than the last 2. I just really wanted to give St. Augustine its proper. I really did not expect to do 2. But here we are. Here it is. So thank you for listening this week, guys. I will see you all next week. So until then, stay prepared. Be nice, drink water, wear sunscreen, and as always, that's your daily dose of sunshine.